Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going through my tiered quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and tight end rankings for week 11. Please keep in mind three things really. First of all, players who we are waiting on injury reports from that are questionable. If I think they're going to play, I'm going to have them included in these rankings, but I try to hold off on these videos as long as I can so that I can have the most updated rankings. But I'm recording this Saturday morning. So, if future information comes out that I couldn't have known about while recording this video, I can adjust things in the comment section, but I can't know news before it happens. Second thing is players who played on Thursday are not included in these rankings. So if you notice them missing, that's why. And finally, players who are on bye, they don't actually have a game scheduled, are not going to be included in these weekly rankings. So please keep those things in mind. Without further ado, the elite tier of quarterbacks, I have Allen, Herbert, and Jackson. With Justin Herbert, he has been absolutely balling out recently. This is a plus matchup for him. I think he is going to smash, and I want skill position players in this offense this week. In the next tier, I have Hurts, Mayfield, and Stafford. Stafford is playing at an MVP level right now, including multiple games of 4 passing touchdowns in a game. This projects to be a reasonably high-scoring game, and I want Stafford, and I want his top 2 receivers in that offense. In the next tier, I have Prescott, Flacco, Rodgers, Tua, Caleb, Love, and Mahomes. With Mahomes, he's playing against Denver. This is the lowest I'm going to have him ranked almost assuredly for the duration of the rest of the season. So I do think that, you could definitely do worse than him, even in a brutal matchup, but just understand that this is a brutal divisional matchup for him. In the next tier, I have Smith, Goff, and Darnold. I want to mention Sam Darnold. That kind of goes hand in hand with Matthew Stafford. I want to start skill position players in this offense this week. I think there's the potential for a lot of touchdown scoring. In the next tier, I have Brissett, Mariota, Nix, McCarthy, and Purdy. With Brock Purdy, in 2 starts in which he's played so far this season, he hasn't been particularly fantastic for fantasy. He's going to make his return. It is against Arizona. This is a brutal matchup for him. I would avoid him if possible this week for that reason, but your hand may be forced there. In the next year, we have Penix, Winston, and Mills. I want to mention Davis Mills. He had a good game from a stat line perspective this past week, but it was against a lot of prevent defense working underneath that. I don't think that he's going to have the benefit of that this week, so I do think that he's an avoid in a somewhat tough divisional matchup. And in the final tier, I have Lawrence, Young, Gabriel, and Ward. With Trevor Lawrence, he is getting Brian Thomas back, it looks like, but I still want nothing to do with him this week in what is a terrible matchup against the Los Angeles Chargers. Moving on to my tiered running back rankings for week 11. In the elite tier, I have this elite tier is the largest it's going to be, but I think every one of these running backs could absolutely crush it and will this week for fantasy. So we have Achane, McCaffrey, Dowdle, Jacobs, and Bijan. I want to mention, it's tough. There's a lot of players I want to mention in this tier. With Devon Achane, Washington's defense is absolutely depleted. He has been on a tear recently, and I think that they're not only going to win this game, I think they're going to win substantially, and I think everybody in this offense, including Tua, is a good start this week. In the next tier, I have Gibbs, Genty, Williams, and Cook. I want to mention Jahmyr Gibbs. He doesn't have any historical games against Philadelphia, but in 2 of 3 games, he has been wildly efficient. I know that Philadelphia was able to shut down the run game of the Packers within reason. I know Jacobs still ended up with 20 fantasy points, but this Lions offense is substantially better in my opinion, and I think that Jahmyr Gibbs is going to go off, and I think we see some work in the passing game from him as well. In the next tier, we have Warren, Judkins, Saquon, Marks, Brown, and Etienne. I want to mention Jaylen Warren. I think this is a matchup where he's not only going to be very efficient on the ground, I think he's going to get a good bit of work in the passing game. In the next tier, we have Williams, Harvey, and DeAndre Swift. I want to mention RJ Harvey here. He is going to take over, presumably at least, the full-time role. We'll see what the split looks like in the backfield after this week. But this is a brutal matchup for him, so I'm still going to have him in the RB2 range despite taking on more of a role, and that was per Sean Payton. But I think in future matchups that aren't such a brutal divisional matchup for this offense that he is going to be a very high-end running back in plus matchups. In the next tier, we have White, Henry, Vidal, Jones, and Montgomery. With David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, I think that both are solid starts this week. I think that they're going to look to want to dominate, run the ball, and I think that because of that, you're going to get solid production from both of them. In the next tier, we have JCM, DeMarcado, and Manungai. I want to mention JCM here, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. He hasn't been efficient on a per-touch basis the past couple of weeks. This is a get-right matchup of all get-right matchups. I think that while, yes, the potential goal line role is obviously starting to be taken over by Chris Rodriguez, I do think, though, at the same time, that this is a game where he can be extremely efficient on the ground and on a per-touch basis, and it would not shock me if he ends up scoring a touchdown either. In the next tier, we have Tajay, Algier, Tracy, Rodriguez, Chubb, and Tucker. I want to mention Tyler Algier here. He has been a solid running back. He doesn't always get the weekly volume that we would desire, but I think this is a game that they win against the Carolina Panthers, and I think he's going to get some run, and it would not shock me if he gets another rushing touchdown because they do like to power run game down the field there and give him those goal line touches, much to the expense of Bijan owners everywhere. And in the final tier, I have Charbonnet, Wilson, Hunt, and Walker. I want to mention Kareem Hunt. Isaiah Pacheco is out this week. I still don't like this run. I don't like the running backs against this Denver defense, regardless as to whether, Kareem Hunt is getting almost all of the work now. I still think that he's going to cede some of the passing game work to Rashard Smith, and I just think he's pretty washed overall as a talent. And I want to give a special shout out to my Patreon members. Thank you to Big Hunt, SP, Mage Jack, Infamy MTG, AOYOB, and The Dawn. Without your support, this would not be possible. As you're probably well aware if you've been watching my videos for a while, I cannot get monetized because of the film breakdowns I do, and even just the little videos I have where I have clips of plays in them. They get demonetized every single time, making it, therefore, impossible to collect any revenue. So, obviously, your support is greatly appreciated. And if you are so inclined to become a member, the perks would be you will get access to a private Discord where we have both a real life and fantasy football chat, as well as a voice chat if you just don't want to have to type a bunch of stuff. I'll also give you detailed roster breakdowns and roster reviews where we talk about the strengths and weaknesses of your team. Then we kind of break it down further by looking into the scoring settings themselves and the starting lineup requirements to help you build the best team to help you dominate for years to come. In both Dynasty and then in Redraft, obviously, I'd help you with a good, solid game plan, especially if you know where you're drafting from. Then also give you detailed trade advice based on your specific league settings to help you dominate. Also give you access to private live streams and the ability to not only see videos at least one day early, but also the ability to suggest videos that you would like to be created. So if you would like to support the channel, I would really appreciate it. If not, just please like and subscribe. Let's get back to the video. Moving on to my tiered wide receiver rankings. In the elite tier, I have Ja'Marr Chase by himself. So he went for 38 full PPR points the last time he played Pittsburgh on an insane amount of volume. He set his own personal, and it was a franchise record for most targets in a game as well. And I believe it was a career high in receptions for him. He had over 150 yards, and I believe he scored a touchdown as well. I think we're going to see more of the same. And I think that this game between Cincinnati and Pittsburgh is going to produce a lot of fantasy points for us. In the next tier, I have Puka, JSN, CD, Amon-Ra, Jefferson, Igbuka, and Waddle. I want to mention Jalen Waddle. This is a plus matchup. He's looked substantially better now that he's getting the requisite volume to be a true wide receiver one for his own team. And this is the matchup that he can exploit. I like him a lot this week as kind of a mid wide receiver one with explosive wide receiver one potential, though. In the next tier, I have Rice, Collins, Higgins, Smith, McConkey, Pickens, and Johnston. So I want to mention the Chargers offense. It's been very difficult week over week to predict who is going to lead this team in targets. Ladd McConkey is generally consistently not getting entirely phased out of games, so I do think that he's generally the best bet. But Quentin Johnston, I think he was playing through injury once he came back after that hammy injury. But he started getting the volume again. So I do think that between McConkey and Johnston, those are the two guys you want to start out of the Chargers receiving core against Jacksonville, who is an absolute plus smash spot matchup for them. In the next tier, I have London, Brown, Flowers, Adams, and Metcalf. I want to mention Zay Flowers. After a very good week one, he's kind of trailed off a little bit. I do think that this is a matchup in which he can exploit, and I do think they're going to look to get him the ball in the short passing game. And so I think we see a lot more total volume from him, thus in a full PPR setting at least, producing a lot more points than we've been seeing. In the next tier, I have Wandale, Debo, Rome, Tucker, and Shakir. I want to mention Trey Tucker here. There is the potential for him to have another one of these explosive, big, giant games for us. With the riddance of Jacoby Myers, that's going to only allow him to take more of a role in this offense. I like that, Brock Bowers is here to take away some of the defensive attention. And so just keep in mind that he is a sneaky play this week against a susceptible Dallas defense. The next here we have McMillan, Moore, Pearsall, Williams, Addison, Dobbs, and Michael Wilson. I want to mention Michael Wilson here. Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be out this week. It is a plus matchup for him on a wide receiver level, but at the same time, I still would be a little bit cautious about having him too high just because he's being upgraded to the wide receiver one for the team. I still think that he's a fine talent, but nothing particularly special by NFL standards. And then in the final tier, I have Watson, Franklin, BTJ, and Jerry Jeudy. I want to mention Christian Watson here. I do think that he's going to be a solid wide receiver 3 for us. I think he's going to get a couple chunk gains. Moving on to my top 24 tight end rankings in the elite tier, I don't really think much needs to be explained here. I have McBride and Bowers. I think we get a bounce back game from Bowers here. In the next tier, we have Gadsden and Kittle. With Gadsden, he's one of the Chargers skill position players that I think is an absolute must start. This is a dream matchup for him, and I think he smashes. In the next tier, we have Pitts, Kelsey, and Schultz. Kyle Pitts, I think we get a touchdown from him. The volume has been significantly better than it has been in prior seasons, and I think we also get a touchdown from him. And the next year, we have Ferguson, Johnson, Otten, Ertz, and Fannin. With Cade Otton, he has seen some solid, consistent volume over the past couple of weeks. I think that this is just such a brutal matchup that I'd have him more as a low-end tight end one, but I still think he could definitely do worse. In the next tier, we have Jonnu, Goddard, Loveland, Mandrews, and Musgrave. With Jonnu Smith, I think this is a solid matchup. I think he gets a little bit more volume this week, and I think it's going to be out of necessity as well as these two teams look to keep up with each other on offense. In the next tier, I have Njoku, Fant, Gardner, Freiermuth, and Knox. With Dawson Knox, I understand, he's taken over the role of tight end 1. I just don't think he's a particularly above average tight end, so I still don't think that he's really worth serious start consideration unless you're in a heavy premium or you're just desperate. And then in the final tier, I have Likely and Helm, two guys who I think are going to see who are talented, but I just think that the matchups are so brutal that I would just have a significant amount of tight ends I would probably rather have over them. So yeah, I hope you guys smash your matchups. If you would like to support the channel, feel free to subscribe to the Patreon. I will much further help you in individual matchup decision making, lineup optimization as well. So if you would like to, the link is going to be in the comment section. If you do not wish to or cannot, if you could just give the channel a subscribe. If you could like the video, leave a comment below. I'd really appreciate it. Thanks, guys, and I hope you smash your matchups.